What would you do if the world decided you weren't worth the price tag? Kira Carter walked into a luxury boutique expecting to buy hope for dozens of girls, but found herself tried, judged, and dismissed before she could even say a word. But this isn't a story about humiliation. It's about what happens when you quietly rewrite the rules in rooms where you were never supposed to belong. The staff thought they could shut her out with a smile. They had no idea she'd soon own the keys. On a gray Tuesday, just after a downpour, Kira Carter stepped through the automatic doors of Northgate Mall. Her sneakers squeaked against the tile, echoing through the cavernous space. If anyone noticed her, it was only to note the rain clinging to the hem of her black leggings, or the oversized hoodie cinched at her wrists. No designer logos, just the evidence of a morning spent at the gym. She might as well have been invisible. That suited Kira just fine. She wasn't here to make an entrance. She was here on a mission to find dresses for the annual gala her foundation organized, raising funds for girls growing up in neighborhoods like the one she barely escaped herself. It was supposed to be simple: a quick stop, a few racks, a few swipes of a black card with a 6-figure limit. In and out. Instead, it turned into a masterclass in how not to judge a book by its hoodie. The boutique was called Atelier Lucien, all glass and golden lighting, an oasis of curated silk and marble among the food court neon and bargain bins. Kira had done her research. She knew they stocked the sort of gowns that could make any teenage girl feel like royalty for a night. She also knew that for a lot of people, her reflection in their mirrors didn't fit the frame. She crossed the threshold, rain still slick on her shoulders. A faint chime announced her arrival, but it was quickly drowned by the polite, brittle laughter of 2 women at the shoe display. The clerk behind the counter, a tall woman in a razor-sharp blazer, watched her approach with a professional smile, one that never reached her eyes. "Excuse me," Kira started, already glancing at the rack of evening dresses near the window. Do you—" The woman cut her off, her voice melodic but cold, like she'd been practicing it for years. "I'm sorry. We don't allow unescorted browsing in this section. These pieces are reserved for clients with appointments." Kira paused, rainwater dripping onto the pale carpet. "I was hoping to look at dresses for an event. Again, the interruption. This time the smile sharpened. "Our merchandise is quite exclusive, you understand. Many people come in to browse, but these pieces—" She tilted her head, as if offering a private joke. "Require serious intent. If you're looking for something more accessible, there are outlets down the hall." The girls at the shoe display were watching, hands over their mouths. One stage whispered, "Did she really think?" The other giggled, eyes flicking from Kira's sneakers to her hoodie, and then away, bored already. It would have been easy, so easy, to snap back, to flash her card, or her name, or the screenshots of her latest Forbes interview. Instead, Kira took a breath. She thought of the girls she worked for, girls who didn't have the luxury of fighting every battle, who learned to swallow pride because survival demanded it. She said nothing. She let the moment hang in the silence, the only sound the soft static of rain on the glass. Then, with the same calm, deliberate step she'd used to enter, she turned and walked out. Behind her, the clerk exhaled, relieved. Outside, the rain had eased to a mist. Kira pulled up her hood and crossed the lot to where her driver waited, engine humming. He opened the door without a word, eyes on the rear view. "Everything all right, Miss Carter?" "Just another day," she replied, voice even. But as the car pulled away, she reached for her phone, not to scroll, but to check the calendar. Her attorney was waiting on the final signatures. Today, the deal would close. Her fund would own not just a boutique, but every square foot of Northgate Mall. She looked at her reflection in the tinted window, rainwater beading on the glass, blurring her face into something both familiar and strange. Today, she realized, would not be simple after all. Half an hour later, Kira sat in a sunlit conference room, pen in hand. The lawyer across from her smiled as she signed, initials curling on the dotted lines. He slid the folder toward her. Final papers, official and binding. On the cover, a single line. Transfer of ownership, Northgate Mall. Kira closed the folder gently. Can you do me a favor, Adam? Of course, Miss Carter. There's a boutique on the west side, Atelier Lucien. I'd like the management team to get notice of the ownership transfer by the end of the day. And... She paused, thinking of the woman in the blazer, her practiced smile. Let them know the new owner will visit in person. No appointment necessary. Adam looked at her for a moment, uncertain whether to laugh. You want to go back? Kira's smile was soft, almost wistful. I have a few things left to try on. By mid-afternoon, the storm had passed. The sky was blue, washed clean. Kira changed in her car, a black suit, tailored and severe, the badge of her foundation shining gold at her throat. She checked her phone. One new message from her social media manager, a video of the gala's last winner thanking Ms. Kira for believing in her. She watched it twice before slipping the phone away. As she crossed the marble floors toward Atelier Lucien, she caught her reflection in every window. The suit, the gold, the certainty. No hoodie, no rain. This was the version of herself they expected, impossible to ignore. Inside, the atmosphere had changed. The same clerk stood at the register, but her posture was tighter, her eyes flickering to the door as Kira entered. There were whispers from the back as employees gathered near the office. A man in a suit, mall security perhaps, hovered in the wings. Kira walked to the counter. The clerk's lips parted in shock. Good afternoon, Kira said, voice quiet but commanding. I'm Kira Carter, and I represent the new ownership of this property. I believe you received notice. There was a moment, just a heartbeat, when no one moved. Then the clerk's face went pale, the smile falling away. The other employees glanced at each other, one biting her lip, another clutching a clipboard, as if it might protect her from what came next. There must be some mistake, the clerk stammered. You were just earlier. Kira waited, arms folded, letting the silence do the work. In the quiet, she remembered her mother's voice, gentle but steel-edged. They can't measure your worth by what you wear, only by what you give back when they're not looking. She leaned forward, lowering her voice so only the clerk could hear. I came here to buy dresses for girls who have been overlooked their entire lives. You didn't even ask why I was here. The clerk swallowed, hands trembling. Kira straightened. From this moment forward, the boutique will serve a new purpose. The window displays will feature real girls from the community. The profits will fund scholarships, not just margins. And if you wish to remain, you'll need to decide whether you can see the worth in every person who walks through that door. The man in the suit handed her a folder. Official notice, legal and final. The clerk took it with numb fingers, eyes wide. In the corner, the girls who'd laughed at Kira earlier stood silent, unsure. One looked away. The other met Kira's eyes, something like apology or envy flickering in her gaze. Kira didn't need revenge. She needed a revolution. As she walked out, the sun caught the gold on her badge, sending a scatter of light across the polished floor. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Because sometimes, the only fitting room that matters is the one where you try on someone else's assumptions and walk out owning the whole story. If you'd walked into Atelier Lucienne that afternoon, you might have sensed a tremor in the air, a charge, like the hush before a summer storm. The displays glimmered in the window, mannequins frozen in $1,000 silks, but the mood inside was anything but serene. Employees huddled behind the register, whispering, eyes darting toward the glass doors every time a shadow passed. Rumors had already begun to ripple through the mall. Something big was happening. The owners were changing. Someone, nobody knew who, was about to shake up the entire place. At 3:17 p.m., a man in a tailored navy suit pushed through the boutique doors. He looked like the kind of person who carried consequence wherever he walked. His shoes barely made a sound on the marble, but every head turned. He approached the counter with purposeful calm, setting a heavy envelope on the glass. "Good afternoon. My name is Mr. Landry. I represent the new ownership of Northgate Mall and all its properties, including this establishment. Please see the attached documentation." His voice was steady, clipped, businesslike. The lead saleswoman, Marina, the same one who'd turned Kira away, reached for the envelope with trembling hands. The weight of the moment wasn't lost on her. She fumbled with the seal, fingers numb. As she unfolded the papers, her breath hitched. Words leaped out at her in stark, legal font. Change of ownership. Effective immediately. Behind her, one of the younger assistants whispered, "Wait, what's happening?" Nobody answered. Mr. Landry waited for Marina to finish reading, his face as impassive as a statue. "You and your staff are required to vacate the premises by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Further questions may be directed to the legal department of the Carter Foundation. This is final." The boutique seemed to shrink, the air going thin. Marina looked around, searching for someone, anyone, who might say this was a joke. But the others just stared at her, wide-eyed, waiting for her to fix what couldn't be fixed. I don't understand," she stammered, her composure crumbling. "This can't be right. We would have known if—" But Mr. Landry cut her off with a small, polite bow. "Everything is in order. You may contact your corporate office for confirmation, though I assure you the outcome will not change." He turned and strode out, leaving the door swinging in his wake, the envelope of fate still fluttering in Marina's hand. 10 minutes later, the door opened again. Kira entered. But it wasn't the Kira who'd come in that morning, rain-soaked and anonymous in gym clothes. This was the Kira Carter whose photo appeared in glossy profiles of social impact investors. She wore a sharply cut navy suit, understated jewelry, and at her collarbone, the gold and white insignia of the Carter Foundation. Every inch of her posture radiated clarity. Someone who had stopped waiting for approval and started setting the rules. For a moment, no one moved. Kira paused in the entryway, letting the silence settle. She saw Marina's face, chalk white, lips parted in disbelief. The younger staff hovered at the edges, curiosity and fear warring in their eyes. Even the two shoe girls from earlier looked up, recognition flickering into something closer to dread. Kira spoke, her tone measured, not unkind. "I'm here on business. As of this afternoon, this property, and all of Northgate Mall, belongs to my foundation. You'll receive transition instructions before the end of day." The words seemed to ripple outward, draining the last of the boutique's usual arrogance. Someone in the back choked on a gasp. Marina found her voice. I'm sorry, Miss Carter. About earlier. I didn't realize—" Kira shook her head gently. That's the point. You didn't realize, because you didn't bother to ask. She stepped farther in, taking in the polished marble, the racks of luxury clothing, the meticulously arranged shoes. I came here this morning with one simple request: to buy dresses for the girls in my foundation. Young women who have known a lifetime of being shut out of places like this. Instead, you saw someone who didn't fit your idea of a real customer. You made a decision based on my clothes and not my purpose. The boutique was silent, except for the hum of the climate control and the far-off buzz of the mall. Kira's words didn't sting. They echoed. One of the assistants, Ava, barely 20 and visibly shaken, ventured, "Does this mean we're all fired?" Kira regarded her with a softness that surprised even herself. "It means there will be changes. The boutique will close for a week. When it reopens, it will be a space for community events, workshops, and pop-up shows. The girls from my foundation will help run it, and the profits will fund their education and futures. If you wish to apply for a role, you can. But you'll need to show you can see past appearances." There was a pause, heavy with possibility. Kira's gaze lingered on Marina, whose eyes were shiny with shame. "As for you, I believe people can learn, but learning requires humility. I suggest you take some time to think about who you choose to see and who you choose to ignore." The story swept through the mall like a wildfire. Within the hour, phones buzzed with group texts. "Did you hear? The new owner is that woman they kicked out. She's turning the boutique into a foundation space." Some employees cheered quietly, others grumbled, fearing for their jobs. Kira met briefly with the mall's other tenants, her message simple and direct. "We're changing what this mall stands for. Community first, profit second. If you can't see the value in that, this may not be your place." Some managers nodded enthusiastically, eager for new traffic and good press. A few scoffed behind her back. People always did. But Kira knew she didn't need their approval. She'd learned long ago that the world never gives power to those it can't see. You have to take it, then give it back in ways that matter. That evening, as the sun slid low over the parking lot, Kira stood by the boutique's display window. She watched as workers began to remove the mannequins and pack away the old branding. Already, she could see the outlines of something new. Marina approached, clutching her bag, her face tight with apology. "Miss Carter, may I speak to you?" Kira nodded. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I let my assumptions get in the way of what I'm supposed to do. I needed this job, but maybe I need to see people more clearly. I hope you'll let me stay, even if it's cleaning floors." Kira regarded her for a long moment. "I believe in second chances, but they have to be earned. Come back next week. There will be training sessions and a lot of listening." Marina nodded, eyes bright. "Thank you. I won't waste it." Night fell. Kira lingered a while longer, watching her reflection blur in the glass. She didn't feel vindicated. She felt resolved. Her phone chimed. Messages from the foundation's girls, excited about the new space. She smiled, picturing them, seeing themselves in windows where they'd never been welcome before. Tomorrow, she would start the real work. Tonight, she allowed herself a moment of quiet victory, because justice, when it finally arrives, isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like a woman in a simple suit, standing in a place she was told she didn't belong, holding open the door for everyone behind her. 1 week later, the storefront at Atelier Lucienne looked nothing like it once did. Where there had been icy glass and gold trim, now a new sign gleamed in gentle engraved letters. In her name. The day of the grand reopening dawned with sun slicing through the last of the morning fog. Crowds gathered, drawn by whispers of change. A boutique that was no longer just for the select few, but a place built for everyone who had ever been told, not for you. The media vans arrived first, antennae pointed skyward, then parents with daughters in their Sunday best, girls with notebooks clutched in hopeful hands, and alumni of the Carter Foundation, each one with a story. Inside, Kira was a bundle of nerves and resolve. She'd never cared for the spotlight, but she knew some stories had to be told aloud if the world was ever going to listen. She smoothed the lapels of her navy blazer and watched as the final pieces fell into place. Photographs of her girls, faces radiant and real, lined the new window display. No mannequins, just dreams, just possibility. Every photo had a caption in gold script: future doctor, aspiring engineer. I want to open a gallery. I just want my mom to be proud. When the doors finally opened, a wave of warmth and music spilled into the mall, the once hushed boutique filled with laughter, conversation, and the sound of camera shutters. People weren't browsing, they were belonging. Kira took her place by the window, ready to speak. She caught her reflection in the glass. Not the outsider they'd dismissed, but a woman carrying every scar and lesson, standing taller for it. At exactly noon, a local reporter stepped forward, microphone in hand. "Ms. Carter, why did you do this?" Kira took a breath, her voice steady, filling the room. "A week ago, I stood outside this boutique because someone decided I didn't belong. They looked at my clothes, not my purpose, but I wasn't alone. Every day, girls walk into rooms and are told with a look or a word, 'Not you.' That ends here." She gestured to the girls, some in dresses, some in jeans, all radiant. In her name is a boutique for everyone who's ever been shut out because of what they wear, how they speak, or where they come from. Every dress here, every dollar made, goes right back into their futures. If you want to see beauty, look at what these girls will build. A wave of applause rolled through the boutique, some people dabbing tears from their cheeks. Reporters scribbled notes. Parents squeezed their daughters' hands. In the back, Kira spotted Marina, the former lead saleswoman, helping a nervous teen pick out her first interview suit. No judgment in her posture now, only patience and care. Marina caught Kira's eye and mouthed a silent, "Thank you." After the cameras left, Kira lingered by the display, soaking in every smile and ripple of hope. One of the foundation girls, Zuri, approached her quietly. "Ms. Carter, I've never worn anything from a store like this before. Are you sure I belong here?" Kira knelt to meet her gaze. "You belong wherever you decide you belong. This place exists because of girls like you, not in spite of you." Zuri grinned, her confidence blooming. As the sun slid down, painting the mall in gold, Kira stood one last time at the threshold. Shoppers drifted in and out. Old boundaries had been erased. You could feel it, the sense that something real and gentle had started here. Something that couldn't be taken away with a smirk or a policy or a locked door. That night, as Kira drove away, she passed the boutique one more time. The sign, in her name, caught the light, shining out over the city. She smiled, knowing the story would travel far beyond the mall's glass walls. Because real justice wasn't about revenge. It was about opening doors for the next girl who thought she didn't stand a chance. In this new boutique, nobody was measured by what they wore. They were measured by what they dared to dream. In her name quickly became more than a store. It became a headline. The boutique teaching a city about style and humanity. And behind every success, you could trace the quiet, fierce steps of a woman who'd once been turned away and chose instead to open the door.